Verve, a noun meaning to sparkle, enthusiastic, full of vitality. Descriptions that fit perfectly the product impresario Norman Granz was responsible for producing from 1956.
Hey, jazz fans, hold everything. Norman Granz Jazz at the Philharmonic will be here in Los Angeles Thursday, October 7th at the Shrine Auditorium, Jefferson and Royal. The First Lady of Song, Miss Ella Fitzgerald, will be there performing her top recording hits, along with ace drummer men Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson, the Oscar Peterson Trio, tenor men Flip Phillips and Ben Webster, the great Dizzy Gillespie and Roy Eldridge on trumpets, Downbeat Award winner Buddy DeFranco on clarinet, Big Bill Harris on trombone, and many, many more. Never has there been such a collection of jazz greats.
A radio station ad for the 1954 Jazz at the Philharmonic appearance in L.A. With the formation of Verve Records 2 years later, all of those performers would feature on the label.
Norman used to put packages together. It would be like Ella Fitzgerald, Oscar Peterson, and then he'd have a bunch of guys like Roy Eldridge and a lot of other swing musicians.
He started Verve to be able to produce the records of Ella Fitzgerald that he had been thinking about all those years. He also wanted Verve to have the reputation of really a top-of-the-line recording company.
A typical Norman Granz concert recording from August 1956, issued on Verve Records.
Norman was part of the audience. He was sitting there getting the first listen like he was a record buyer. He loved Prez, he loved Ben Webster, he loved Harry Edison. He was caught up in the music in every session that he did.
Funnily enough, every jazz artist I know that I've ever recorded has inevitably come to me. Ben Webster, when can I have strings? They all want strings.
The precedent for such Norman Granz-produced endeavors had occurred in 1949 on one of his previous labels, Clef, and involved alto saxophone giant Charlie Parker. Another member of the huge Verve roster, Buddy DeFranco, describes how he found a way around the Granz disinclination to record string-laden albums. The clarinetist was aided on this particular occasion by pianist Oscar Peterson.
And Oscar said, well, leave it to me. I'll talk to Norman. So in the next two plane trips that we had, I saw him sidle up to Norman, and somehow or other he convinced Norman that this was a good idea. The way he did that was that he made Norman seem to think that it was his idea to do this. It turned out to be a winner.
From 1948 until 1955, Norman Granz's product benefited from having many covers designed by David Stone Martin. His unique line drawing set a standard that has rarely been equaled.
Ideas came out of generally not just sitting down at the drawing table and drawing out an image of Lester Young or somebody. He would think about things for a week. He'd make some sketches, you know. Finally, after a certain whatever amount of time, could be an hour, but it could be a week, he would sit down and then work very quickly and decisively. So many of Oscar Peterson were about the kind of dedication that Peterson had for jazz piano, and David really loved his music a lot. He put him in Carnegie Hall here with two curtains and the swirl of the people sitting on a balcony like a great wave of music rising out of the piano.
Oscar Peterson reached a worldwide audience with his many Verve recordings. He and Norman Granz had met in Canada, leading to the then 24-year-old pianist making his U.S. debut at New York's Carnegie Hall.
Once I made the Carnegie Hall concert, the reviews thankfully were good. and there was a lot of interest in, you know, this foreigner. Came in to play the piano. So there were various nightclubs that were interested. So Norman said, you know, I think we can do some things down here with you if you'd like to do them.
Having been responsible for producing records on his pre-Verve, Clef, Down Home, and Norgran labels, as well as the international concert tours of jazz at the Philharmonic, plus managing the careers of Ella Fitzgerald and Oscar Peterson, the exhausted Norman Granz chose to take a break.
He sold Verve to MGM in 1960, and probably a very few people know that Verve was very close to being bought by Frank Sinatra. It came down to Sinatra and MGM. And I think in the end, Frank let MGM have it, because if he really wanted it, he probably would have gotten it.
Under the MGM umbrella, Verve Records continued to release jazz and pop sessions with producer Creed Taylor at the helm. However, from the end of the 1960s, the label went through a series of new owners who concentrated on back catalog material. Come the early 1990s, a resurgence took place, and once again, Verve resumed a position of eminence through recordings by such established names as Shirley Horn and Betty Carter, Joe Henderson and Herbie Hancock. They were followed by a new generation in the new century, spearheaded by singer and pianist Diana Krall.
I cried a river over you. I cried a river over you. Speak low when you speak loud. Our summer day withers away too soon, too soon.
50-plus years after it was formed, Verve, the sound of America, continues to excite.